Okay, good afternoon, members of council, members of our management team, our guests in the lobby, and also our guests from the Royal Canadian Legion. Mr. Gary, thank you for being here, sir. Yes. And Mr. Maurice Hines as president of the Royal Canadian Legion here, branch 35 in Stephenville. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. I ask a member of council that we open this meeting.
Move.
Moved by Councilor Darren Roberts, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Myra White. I'd also like to recognize we have 9 attendees that have logged on through electronic media. And I think we'll go ahead with the proclamation first. That's the plan, town clerk. Yeah. You have the meeting open. It was all in favor.
Aye.
Okay. So I have the distinct privilege today to read the proclamation for Remembrance and the Poppy Campaign, which is a long-standing within our military service. It is recognized throughout the world. There's no doubt, especially within the Allied troops that served in World War II and also World War I. It's very deep in history. I have to say, being a veteran myself, I had the privilege to wear a uniform for 5 years in the Canadian military. And I have to say that I'm very proud that I did that. I'm very proud that the people who serve today, those who served and put down the final, I guess, the ultimate sacrifice and gave up their lives for our freedoms that we have today, is still very, very important. So I'm going to go ahead with this proclamation and we'll get signatures on it. So whereas this is the Royal Canadian Legion Poppy Remembrance Proclamation, whereas the purposes and objects of the Legion as contained in the Act to incorporate the Royal Canadian Legion, Chapter 84 of the Statutes of Canada 1948, as amended by Chapter 86 of the Statutes of Canada in 1951, Chapter 72 of the Statutes of Canada 1959, Chapter 83 of the Statutes of Canada 1961, Chapter 112 of the Statutes of Canada 1975, Chapter 47 of the Statutes of Canada 1977 to 1978, and by the Statutes of Canada 1980, 81 include to perpetuate the memory and deeds of the fallen and those who die in the future, to promote and care for memorials to their valor and sacrifice, to keep an annual Memorial Day, to preserve the records and memorials of their service, and to see that such service shall not be forgotten by the nation, to educate public opinion regarding national duties to the dead, to foster loyalty among public and educations in the principles of patriotism, duty, and undistinct public service. And whereas every person who has initiated into membership of the Royal Canadian Legion has sworn to uphold, advance the aims and objectives of the Legion. And whereas the Provincial Poppy Remembrance Committee has recommended that the observance of the remembrance period immediately prior to November the 11th would do a great deal to encourage greater interest on the part of the public. And whereas by decree of caucus, the government of Newfoundland and Labrador fully support the Legion's efforts to promote remembrance by flying the Legion's flag of remembrance from November the 1st to the 11th of November each year. Know ye that we, by and with the approval of the Provincial Command of the Royal Canadian Legion, do designate the 11 days commencing November 1st and ending November the 11th as Remembrance Period. And we do recommend to all loyal members of the Royal Canadian Legion and to all other citizens of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Number one, Remembrance Period is a time for each one of us to reflect and recall to mind the sacrifices made by our veterans to ensure the peace we now enjoy. The poppy is a symbol of remembrance, peace, hope for the future. Dated this October 24th, 2024. Okay, I'll go ahead for the signatures. Sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Here, Gary, I'll help you. Go to the side. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
We'll get a couple of pictures. I'd just like to say too that a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Normandy. And we were doing a cultural exchange in France with Saint-Germain-en-Laye. And they arranged a tour of Normandy, which was very, very impressive. And it was the first, we were into a small little community hall, I believe it was Berryville. And it was the first Canadians that got killed with a German mortar attack that was off the beach. And that community was liberated by the Allies. And we had to lay a wreath. And I was there representing Canada. And there was a brigadier general who was there in his late 90s. And still today, I guess he reflects back on the day when he was a young man. In World War II, 1944, June 6, when the Allies arrived and they started working their way to liberate. And it was pretty emotional. You know, tears came to his eyes when we laid that wreath. So the impact that it has for those that have fallen and the recognition in their proclamation is for those that have not fallen yet. Because when you put on a uniform, you put on your uniform to defend your country and your sovereignty. So I think if we could get some pictures.
Okay. Sir. And we'll show everybody the flags that will be flown starting on the first. We'll give this to the fire department. Barry, if you'll hold on to one end of our flag. Okay. Here. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, upside down.
There we go.
Okay.
It's okay getting mixed up. They just take number drop.
The drop. On day side.
Okay.
Yes.
We're thankful for your. Needs for your own private collections.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
They have also say it for much
Thank you. Yeah. One uniform to another. Yes, yes, yeah, we'll be ready in a minute. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, see you later.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. That's it.
Okay, we'll go to item number 2. Before we do the land acknowledgement too, I'd also like to recognize Mr. Perry Young, Mr. Frank Russell here today. And Frank has helped us in our journey towards reconciliation with having the Mi'kmaq flag flying at Stephenville. Request from Frank is down the road, the Legion consider an Indigenous flag, as there was a lot of Indigenous veterans that served for Canada. And it's interesting, I joined in 1979. I didn't know I was Indigenous then, but it was only after the fact we received medals for being an Indigenous member of the Canadian Armed Forces. So I wear it with pride, but we work very closely with our Indigenous group and our Royal Canadian Legion to ensure that we hold on to the history and that we always remember. So our land acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge the town of Stephenville as the ancestral homeland of different populations of Indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Item number 3, I would ask a member of council that we approve the agenda as circulated.
Move.
Moved by Councilor Darren Roberts, second.
Second.
Councilor Maurice Hines, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. I really like the large print too on the agenda. It really works for me. Thank you very much. Staff for that. Item number 4, the approval of minutes. Be it resolved to approve public meetings of council minutes dated October 10, 2024, 2 weeks ago. Can I get a mover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, second Councilor Laura Aylward, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Proclamations, item number 6, we just completed. While we're in item number 6, I'd also like to read out that annually the Royal Canadian Legion has a community remembrance dinner at this time of the year. So on Saturday, the 9th of November, 2024, Branch 35, Royal Canadian Legion will be hosting our annual Community and Remembrance Dinner. Our Community and Legion will remember the sacrifice of men and women who have served their sovereign and country. This year, we acknowledge several significant milestones in the country's history. 70 years of peacekeeping, 100 years of the Royal Canadian Air Force, and 80 years of the D-Day invasion that brought World War II to a close. Enclosed, we have the details, and hopefully we may be able to get this posted to our town website. Tickets are $35, cocktails at 7, dinner promptly. That's one nice thing about the Legion, it's so prompt, boom, 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 at 7:30. It's a 3-course roast beef dinner, my favorite. Legion military dress with medals or appropriate civilian attire. Tickets are available at Debbie's video. I would highly recommend as many counselors and staff and the general public to attend, because it really shows that we support all the initiatives.
And for our veterans and their spouse or caregivers, your tickets can be picked up at the Legion. They are complimentary.
It's a nice gesture. Okay, at this time, I'll turn it to our committee reports. Item number 7, the Finance Committee. I'll turn over to our chair, Councilor Myra White. Take it away.
I believe you skipped number 4, did you? 5, matters arising.
Oh, thank you very much, Councilor Hill. Are there any matters arising from the minutes from October 24th?
Not that I could say.
No matters? Okay, thanks for that omission that there I was bragging about the font. Okay, Councilor.
The Finance Committee met on October 21st, 2024, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Number 1, accounts payable. Be it resolved to pay accounts payable dated October the 24th, 2024, in the amount of $349,837.16. I send it.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Darren Roberts, question?
Yes, I have a few items that I would like to, the checks. Boyd and Bungay Construction, we have paid out $58,477.35, which includes the winter sand that we're purchasing and the equipment rental for water and sewer. We've also had, for Brent, we also have some repairs of $7,192.59. To containerized sanitation, we have a payment of $31,011.14, which includes the monthly waste removal, curbside pickup, bulk cleanup for the month of September. I hope I'm pronouncing this company's name correctly. Delee Payments Products. It's for the pothole repairs materials for $13,043. Emco Corporation, $54,270.95, which was a supplies that we had to repair and fix some steel pipes at Burton Place. Also, Forage Mengington Architecture, $64,118.25. That was for the architectural services at the YMCA.
Okay, thank you very much for those noted expenditures.
Oh, I have just one more. Oh, yes, I'm being really slow today. Western Hydraulic and Mechanics. It's for bushings, cylinders, roofing. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Western Paving. $43,852.38, and that was our paving for 2024. I am assuming that it's all finished now? No? Okay.
For more paving.
Okay.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
A comment on that, at the barber shop today, and people are so happy that some of these potholes are being filled. Okay, still a lot more, but it's nice that people can see something happening.
Can you imagine what we gonna be, the dips in Main Street, I don't know how big would that be.
They'll have a parade.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was even thinking that, we did bring it up, there's so many reasons, it's, when I look at it, it's a tripping hazard, trying to walk across that street, not easy. So can you imagine somebody with some accessibility issues, how challenging? Secondly, it's, water pooling, which is always a danger. And for anybody that's driving, motorcycles, going down one of those roads could be very dangerous. So it's nice to see that those projects are moving ahead.
Okay, item number 2, water and sewer tax. Be it resolved to approve water and sewer tax adjustments in the amount of $1,150.60. I so approve.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Yeah.
Second by Councilor Darren Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 3, remission of tax. Be it resolved to approve remission of tax totaling $4,283.58. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second by Councilor Darren Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 4, business tax. Be it resolved to approve business tax adjustments in the amount of $468 and refunds totaling $468. I so move.
By Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Darren Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 5, a request for sponsorship, Stephenville High School. Be it resolved to approve funding to support 2 scholarships for Stephenville High in the amount of $500 each. 1 sponsorship to be dedicated to Mike Tobin Scholarship. I so move.
Second.
Moved and second by Councillor Laura Aylward, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 6, Mr. Mayor, I need to move back. It's indirectly, I feel more comfortable.
Okay, yeah. So we've recognized that Councilor Morrison has stepped back. So we do have a request for donation for the 2024 Poppy Remembrance campaign, so I'll turn it over to you, Councilor White.
Thank you. Request for donation 2024 Poppy Remembrance Campaign. Be it resolved to approve a donation in the amount of $250 to the Royal Canadian Legion 2024 Poppy Remembrance Campaign. I so move.
By Councilor Myra White, seconders.
Second.
Second, Councilor Darren Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Councilor Hines, you can return to the table.
Item number 7, approval to submit application to Canada Community Building Fund. Be it resolved to submit application to Canada Community Building Fund to purchase and install fire department ventilation system in the amount of $106,375, HST included. I so move.
By Councilor Myra White.
Second.
Second, Councilor Darren. I just want to say this is a nice capital investment for our fire department. As you well know, our crews put themselves on the line, our professional fire department. And when it comes to fumes, starting your vehicles, doing your engine startups and QA and QC checks, this new ventilation system will actually put a higher quality air quality into our fire department because it is pretty dated, as we all know.
And it's a benefit to this side as well.
Yes, exactly. Good point, because that permeates through the walls and stuff like that. So it's great to see.
Yeah, just turning the timeline that we're looking at.
It's it's been ordered. It's expected sometime in the next month or so. It should be installed pretty quickly. They've done preliminary work on getting ready for it, and upon its arrival, it should be installed very shortly thereafter. So I expect before the end of November, it'll all be done.
Especially as the seasons change and
Yeah,
the doors are down more often than us.
exactly.
Okay,
So
thank
all
you.
in favor?
Aye.
And that is the last item on my agenda.
Okay, and we have nothing late for finance, I take it. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Councilor Laura Aylward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Some beautiful fall colors down there.
Halloween.
Hold on.
My pumpkins in my ears. I forgot my hat. Nobody got orange except, well, Susan got orange, I think, pretty well. And the Planning and Development Committee met on October 22nd, 2024, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Number 1, approval to proceed with Development Regulations Amendment. Be it resolved to proceed with Town of Stephenville Development Regulation Amendment to include cluster development in residential medium density 2, and commercial general zones. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder, Deputy Mayor Susan Powell. I'm wondering if, Matt, if you just want to speak a little bit as to why we're moving forward with this discretionary use of deputies within our 5 minutes.
Yeah, it just increases the density, so we can have higher densities in our parcels of land, and it helps initiate more housing development, and also there are desperate housing needs within.
Question. What do you mean by cluster?
Cluster just means there's going to be more dwellings, more like, so if you're building an apartment building, we'll just allow for more apartments on a smaller lot of land. Essentially.
It's a term that was borrowed from other municipalities, and that's the term they use to describe it, although it is it's more like a density adjustment.
So you need smaller pieces of land with a dwelling on it.
No, well, you can put more property or more units on a single piece of
Yeah,
land than you can currently.
Same principle.
Yeah.
And that's my other thing there. So what do you mean? Does that mean more units per building, like a 10 unit, 20 unit, 30 unit?
Potentially, yes.
So are we looking at, you said, include cluster in residential, medium density two, and commercial general zones. Are we talking about all those zones in the state where they got these classifications?
No. So that's only three.
Yeah, but if we got, let's say there's 4 medium density 2 zones in Stephenville, there's not. Now, talking about the location wise. Yeah. So let's take area 13. What's that considered? So that's low residence. So do we have another low residential medium in Stephenville besides area 13? So we only got sections of town that got one area that's reasonable density to. Okay. Did we get public input on this?
We'll have to. Part of the piece of actually getting these amendments changed is that there is a public hearing or public feedback.
And, you know, and Mr. Mayor, I just said our planning, the other part was that even though it's approved, all of this has to come to council.
Yeah.
So this is not a carte blanche deal. So the design and the height of the buildings and how many apartments are going to be there and all that will have to come to council for approval.
Yeah. So a piece on height is an important piece as well. Currently in residential medium 2, you can only have 8 meters high.
Mm-hmm.
For this, we're looking at, going to 10, some in commercial buildings, looking at 14-meter height buildings as well. So it actually build up, use the land a bit better, and then increase the density in those areas, right? So helps with our housing issue.
Also, but when you go higher up and everything else, you've also got issues of servicing through, i.e. fire service and whatnot too. So all that's been consideration when we're looking at each individual unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so that's an important piece of this. This is discretionary.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that there is a plan that fits in the cluster development, it's when the council first. So then all those things that you just stated, which are important, all things like that can be considered.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
And I just want to say, I guess leading up to the great work management has done on this, get this amendment done. It actually came out of our roughly $100,000, was it, with Uplands? Okay, for that consultant report over the last 2 years. Maybe it wasn't. But anyways, Uplands completed a density plan for Stephenville. And what a lot of communities are doing is instead of moving out from the community with good consultation, with good discretion, they're looking at infilling and a little higher density. And what that does, it actually protects green spaces in the community from what's a term by scientists called urban sprawl. But the big piece for us is if we got to go put in water and sewer to open up an area, these projects are multi-million-dollar projects. And under the Municipalities Act, we don't get 100% of funding through MCW. It's an 80-20 ratio. So, a $5 million project, we got to spend $1 million. And, we get taxes coming for our revenue. We get contribution from the federal and provincial government, but we still have room at that 20%. So we got to borrow $1 million and pay it off under the act. We're only allowed to carry so much debt of ratio. So we can only do so much expansion on our own. And what this does, it saves that big infrastructure of water and sewer because most of these areas are adjacent.
In no respect, but the last 3 developments we did, private enterprise done it, we had the land and they done the expenditure and never cost us anything.
Yes.
But no, what I'm saying is, and Matt done a good job, but it's not carte blanche, it's discretionary. And there's a lot of factors. We look at each individual project. That's the message we want out there.
It's got to fit for the community.
That's right.
If you could sum it up with a simple.
That's right.
It'll also contribute significantly to housing cost. And and we've had some meetings, and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities indicates really that now more than ever, density increases are a way that we're going to be able to lower the overall per unit housing costs in future. So it's way, far more than even in the near past. It's one of the key contributors to trying increase affordability.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Carry.
Item number 2, outlining planning permission, agricultural development and protected watershed area. Be it resolved to approve outline planning permission for the development of agricultural activities, including apple orchards, root vegetable crops, and berry cultivation within Zone 3 of the Cold Brook Protected Watershed Area, with the condition no fertilizers or pesticides are used. The development of hay fields or pasture will not be permitted in Zone 3. However, it can be permitted in Zone 4, subject to compliance with all town regulations and approval from Water Resources Management Division. I so move.
Moved by Council Laurie Edwards, seconder.
Second.
Second, Council Maurice Hines.
Question. I wanted to ask you about this Zone 3. They're allowed to do all of these first items for Zone 3 in Cold Brook. But I'm trying to find out why hay fields would not be included in Zone 3, because pasture would not. But I'm just assuming now that hay just grows everywhere, right? So why would you not let hay be included?
That's a good question. So is a recommendation of Water Resources. So all this recommendation was vetted through Water Resources. This is Water Resources approval on their end. The reason for that is that with hay, it's more clearing. So that it will take more of the top vegetation off, which is used to help water chemistry within the water table. So that's going to be allowing hay in Zone 3, because of the position where Zone 3 is in our protected watershed area. They don't, Water Resources didn't think it was a good idea to have a lot more land disturbance, which has occurred with actually.
Okay, I guess from what I see, when you get a hay field, you're just cutting the hay off of it every year, but you're not disturbing anything, because if you disturb, you don't have any hay, right?
Not disturbing, because the type of vegetation that's currently in this area. So they would have to clear the top of the land to start to grow hay. So there's more land disturbance in order to start that project. I think there must be forestry area.
Well, usually it's wild hay that goes back on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just needed an explanation.
And I turn over to Galvin. I'd just like to speak on this. I got some background in farming since the 1980s, so probably before. But what's great about this is, first of all, when we get an amendment, we always have to go through Water Resources Government Department to ensure that we are in compliance with their regulations. So certain things can and cannot fit in water protection areas. But what's great about this is an agricultural process that's supported by World Department of Water Resources. And when you have green belts in your water protection area, it protects your water protection area. It's a retention of water and it enhances your soil structures and so forth. The other nice thing about this is we live on an island. We know the cost of food in this province and the cost of transportation to bring food in here. You don't have to go very far. If you went down to Dominion to buy a little thing of blueberries, because my grandson loves them, Poppy always got to buy them, but they're very expensive. But you get local farmers growing product, the price points may come down because that horrendous transportation cost is there. And the other thing I want to say that agriculture is so important, and we come from a history of Acadian culture when we were primarily an agricultural town, forestry, fishing, farming. We don't have a whole lot of farms. Nice to see this happening in our planning area. And at the end of the day, if you look at the city of Ottawa, within the parameters of the city boundaries, there are over 100 farms operating in our nation's capital. So this is a great step forward, great work by our management team again, and it's so nice to see this moving forward.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Oh, wait now. You can get that back first.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm nervous about
Last item,
Carrie.
Bay St. George Kinsman 2024 Santa Claus Parade. Be it resolved to approve the 2024 Santa Claus Parade on Sunday, December 1st, 2024, starting at 6:30 p.m. The parade will have a different route this year, starting at the YMCA building on Massachusetts Drive, onto Carolina Avenue, continuing through Main Street to exit on Boland Drive, with return to the YMCA building via West Street. The intersection of West and Massachusetts Drive will be closed to traffic from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Main Street will be closed to vehicular traffic from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Edwards, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Resign. I got to say, I like the new venue area we're going to start and finish, because for anybody who's been out on that ramp, sometimes when the wind happens to come on and she's cold, sweet God, because sometimes they're there for an hour, 2 hours ahead of time. But down by the Y is pretty protected, right?
And trying to keep those folks together.
Oh, yeah. Because you wouldn't want, like, stuff flying off of Santa's slope. You got to be intact when he gets on Main Street. So all in favor?
Aye.
Karen?
Number 8.
Anything late for planning? Oh, yes,
No,
there
one
is.
more.
That's all for plan, but there's number 8 is bylaws and regulations. It's yours, right?
Well, thank you very much, Councilor Edwards.
Well,
Okay, item number 8, bylaws and regulations. We have one, is the duty to accommodate policy. And that's kind of vetted down, I guess, right from the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, both federally, provincially, and it's due diligence on our part, and the management team and the work of Mike Ratter on policy development. Be it resolved to approve duty to accommodate policy for the town of Stephenville employees. I so move. No, I'm looking for a mover.
Yeah, move.
Moved by Councilor Maurice Hines, seconded Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, is there anything late on planning?
not that I know of.
Okay. Okay, any unfinished business?
I guess I'll call this unfinished business, Mr. Mayor. I've been contacted by a number of citizens and sent some photos and so on of their concern over the, I guess, place which is being built down on the beach, just below Ocean View. Some people who walk there with their pets are a little leery of it. There's a bit of concern. A couple of more people, when they sent me pictures, they know that there are gas cans there, containers. That's a concern, and especially with the residents just on top of that hill up there. There's no water supply, there's no septic, there's no storage system. And I guess general feeling is that, well, disallow another one to be built and another one to be built, and where does it stop? Part of it was that the town was very effective, whether how many people agree or disagree, with removing the trailers that were camped here during the summer season. And they're going, well, these trailers were neat, clean, tidy, met all the standards that we expect them to accept. And now this is sort of flaunting that I can do what I want. And it sets a dangerous precedent. I have empathy for people who are homeless and struggling, but I also have empathy for our citizens who, because they're law abiding, will make a rule they follow. And when someone isn't law abiding, it seems like they can do what they want. So I'm bringing that forward from a number of people who have addressed me or on the phone or sent pictures, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I think very good point. Maybe I would ask for an update from management, because I know there was a meeting this past week discussing with the different community groups, the RCMP, social services, dealing with people that are not compliant with regulations. And actually, at times, unnoticed to themselves, they may be putting themselves in peril because certain standards of hygiene and water and sewer and stuff like that may not be followed. So maybe I'll just turn it over to management to see if anybody's done.
Yeah, we're very aware of this and other structures throughout the community that are similar in they're not permitted. They should be removed in most cases. And in some cases, they are not on lands or bases that are town's jurisdiction as well. In this case, the town has general responsibility, and we're not denying our responsibility to attend to these matters as much as possible based on inquiries from our citizens and residents. However, there are some factors that we, in trying to deal with these items, that we end up facing that we can't even really discuss publicly about the certain situations, individuals, other government departments' involvements that are not our own making. So I know it's not a satisfactory conclusion. I've talked to many residents about it, and we have convened groups of concerned citizens, community groups, agencies, other agencies, spent 2.5 hours the other day working on solutions that will address the big picture, but also trying to see what can we do in the short term. I know citizens of the community will know that the province has addressed similar type of circumstances with very significant purchases of facilities for housing people. And you do have people who need help. You have those who may need help and are not fully aware. And you also have those who, regardless of the help offered, do not want to comply with offering of help. So those are the situations that we're facing. Our employees and our staff here have dealt with some individuals who may bring about safety concerns for our staff, as well as we've had it expressed from residents that they have safety concerns when these things are out in the community where they frequent the beach, for example, if they walk their dogs on the beach or walk the beach themselves. So we are fully aware. We are doing everything in our power to address, and we can make, I suppose, harsh decisions to act in some cases, but some we can't. It's not a simple solution that we can offer. And anyway, know that it is at the top of our mind for attention, and we appreciate the residents' concerns. We'll do whatever we can in our power to respond. However, it's not an excuse. It's just a matter. We work through these in each and every case as individual cases. There's no one measure that fits each case. So it's a concern, sir.
Well, thank you for the response. And I guess at the end of the day, anyone who's listening really would like to know when, because the season is fast approaching. And if someone is going to be in that facility, we'll call it, with open flames, we are leaving ourselves open for endangering themselves and maybe even the area surrounding them. It's,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
And in some cases, we there's jurisdictional elements to this too. And trying not to be too specific about any one particular case for
obvious reasons, I understand.
But in some cases, and with the public, and we do not have jurisdiction on certain of the cases where structures similar to this are in various locations throughout the community. So again, if I did have a timeline that I could tell the public or anyone who inquires about it, I would, but really, we do not have a solid timeline on which we are working on it as, you know, as much as possible, as quickly as possible, but addressing it, you know, we've mirror those concerns of our residents with that as you know, we're residents as well, and we have the exact concerns. So we are working on it as quickly and as diligently as possible.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Susan Bell.
Yeah, just to not challenge particularly, but you know, to say there's not a one solution kind of, in fact, there probably is one solution, and that is to simply use the power that we have to evict or to deal with it. I think the issue is that we're trying to deal with it in a more humane way, recognizing that there are people involved, which always slows the process. I attended the meeting the other day with the agencies and organizations. It was, I think, the beginning of a really phenomenal process, but certainly not something that's going to resolve any of our immediate issues. I've heard a number of concerns, the same as I'm sure we all have. So again, I think we are going to have to recognize that there comes a point, and it needs to probably come sooner than later, where we say we have tried what we can, but we have to make a decision. And so, you know, I think hopefully as management moves forward, they can find a way to reach that place. But
And Deputy Mayor Powell, so if we were to attempt to use the powers that the province has granted to the town for this purpose, again, there may be some constraints, even in the circumstance brought up by Councillor Hines, that people are not aware of, and you know, it's not really for us to explain those details at this stage. However, as we've seen with other efforts to try to remove encampments and direct, you know, people erecting tents and other things in locations, we may be able in some cases to act. In other cases, with that constraint prevents us from acting. But if we can act and we get to that point, there would be thorough communication with the individuals involved and a plan that includes the social side of our agencies and supports in the community. And rather than acting strongly from a standpoint of trying to, say, evict someone from a location, we have taken the tack that we want to involve all the necessary agencies of support, if in fact that can be given. In some cases, that will not be possible based on the potential cooperation of individuals not being there. Or in some cases, maybe an individual, and I'm just speaking very generically, is not able to be reasoned with for that kind of you know, communication necessary, and so there's no agreement on what we intend to do. So, but it is front of mind, and we will act when we can with the appropriate connections to the various agencies.
Yeah, I think Ross, part of the overriding concern is that this will lead to another type of structure.
that's what I was going to say. Don't anyone get the wrong idea now and start building next to these structures, because that's not going to do it either, right?
Yeah, that's.
We've gone a long ways from affordability as a town of Steamboat. Like, we're the first community to have tiny homes.
Yes.
Very small price point. There are also provincial programs with other housing for people who need social housing. So there is a lot. It's always the challenge is when somebody refuses and what's.
Not a way of resolving this, but when we held the meeting the other day, one thing that was obvious from the attendees is that even that meeting brought about further connections between agencies, some interagency and communications and understanding that had not existed in the community, say, lately. And that improvement was acknowledged by people who were in attendance from the RCMP to the local clergy and others who were involved. So the sharing and understanding has improved based on that initiative that was undertaken by our management team. So again, just wanted that to be understood, that we are making some headway on short-term
And
basis.
if I could just add one more thing, one of the things that I guess we probably knew anyway, but became glaringly apparent in terms of those people facing the most challenges in terms of housing. And we know there's all kinds of people facing challenges looking for affordable housing, but is the single male. And we do have a lot of people out there who are in need of housing. For those people out there who may have space, who may have large homes that are empty, there's a great program called Shared Spaces, which we can help you connect to, where they do the vetting, but help you open up your space to a person who shares the space with you. And as a result of sharing the space, of course, helps you with the work that needs to be done around and so on. So they're not necessarily just a boarder, but they are someone who shares the space. So, as people think through, if you find yourself wondering what you're going to do to fill the empty rooms, if you think you might benefit from having someone stay there and be supported by a full program while they're staying there, that's a great program to think about.
Okay, well, great discussion. Let's hope that for the individuals that we can find a solution for the residents, safety and security, and for the individuals who need it. I got a couple of really quick things I want to just talk about under new business. In the last 3 months, I would say we've been doing a lot of planned repairs to water leaks in the town. In addition to that, we also have the unplanned leaks. So a lot of citizens sometimes complain you got brown water. Well, every time you have a leak, every time you have a repair, every time we have to flush a line, we're going to have brown water. But it is monitored from a health perspective that should that brown water pose health risks, that we do a full communique through our communications department. So I just wanted to say that. So for an example, this fall, we did repairs on Viking, which was a plan. It was very low water pressure. There was a leak. We did that repair. We had very low water pressure on Burton's apartments in Burton Place. I think that's still ongoing. So there's a lot of work being done by Public Works to ensure that we're not technically spilling water, because anytime that we have a leak, it costs the town and the citizens money. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'd like for management to do some research with the Material Management Stewardship Board to see if there are some small grants available. And I do know that they do have grants from municipalities, but I was talking to the gentleman who owns Containerized Sanitation, and I'm not really pleased about how our garbage is on our roadside, and I'm saying, what can we do to make it better, make it look better? So some people cover the garbage, some people don't. Some people put a blanket on the garbage, some people don't. Some people put a net on the garbage. So we're all over the place. So I happened to have a meeting with him, and he came up with a great idea. So if we could get a grant from MNSB that we could start phasing in and residents could come in, what he recommended, the best thing we could do, because the challenge with bringing garbage cans out to the curb, well, we have the windiest corridor in North America, according to World Energy and them, that the wind is very challenging. It's very challenging for our Public Works also. So what they recommend is we would get netting, but kind of like, you know how you stitch something into a quilt? Well, I know all about quilts, Tom, you know all about quilts too, right? But actually you get and I would recommend the color green, because we're becoming a green town. But anyways, you take a nylon sheet and you have it stitched, because the challenge with just a net is the crows and the gulls. They're getting educated and they're getting better. They know how to pull through the net. But what's nice about a nylon sheet, it doesn't get, if it gets wet, it dries like that. not like a cotton sheet. But what that would do is give us consistency in the town that eventually over time, we'd see all the same thing. And then from Public Works, seeing that green netting, it's really good, especially for the 3 or 4 months of the winter that we have snow clearing and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering if that's something management.
Good job for some entrepreneur then.
Yes. Yeah. And, one last little thing on the farming and the amendment, for, allowing farming within our planning area, water protection area. I had an interesting conversation with, a gentleman from Quebec who was vacationing in the area. Actually, I was camped in the Grand Cadre this year, and we were having some, when you have a neighbor, you tend to have a chat. But anyway, he was saying the Quebec government coming out of COVID, which was a few years ago, when they came out of COVID, they said, you know what? We got to get better as a province from a food security perspective. Now, in Quebec, they got a lot of farms, a lot of dairy, and a lot of things, but they put a lot of emphasis and money on getting more food security measures so that if a big COVID event, people in Quebec wouldn't get hungry because they had a lot of food. And when you look at our province, that's something maybe this province could look at, a more enhanced drive towards supporting agriculture and young farmers and stuff like that. So I thought it was interesting that, and especially for us, I think we would need it more than Quebec because we got an island, and when things go awry, I tell you what, the shells thin out pretty fast.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for new business. Anybody else? No, okay, it is 1:01, very prompt today. I'm kind of looking for a member of council to adjourn this meeting. Moved by Councilor Tom O'Brien.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Myra White. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
We have council stay for.
Yep.
Then